Welcome to this side of the studio where, yes, we're going to get into a parenting chat right now. It's hard being different and standing out from the crowd, especially at a young age. It can have a massive effect on you. And this morning, registered counsellor Chanel Moos joins us to talk about struggling to fit in with their peers and how we can help our children along this journey. I suddenly feel really sad, Chanel. I remember a day where Jack wasn't vibing with his best friend. He just didn't want anything to do with him. He was heartbroken, and I was heartbroken as a result. Why do, especially young children, have such a strong desire to want to fit in? Is it wired into our brains?
Yes, it's a basic, actually, a human need. Everyone has it. It's called belonging. We have to feel as if we belong, and belong is to fit in, knowing your place, and that you are part of something. So the first place that Jack would have belonged to would be his family. And then when he goes to school, he enters another social system. So here becomes the need to belong there. So it's like it keeps changing. Every time they move systems, you fit in, you look for belonging, and then you settle in.
And it's probably like a survival instinct harking back to when humanity was tiny after the Ice Age, and we needed to. In order to survive, you needed your clan, your tribe, your people around you. It's one of the worst things in the world for a parent to broach, because it feels like you can't actively really do anything about it. They've got to find their own way at some point. That you can't go and repair the bonds, that your child shares with their mates. So you do feel a little bit powerless in that space. What should we do, and what should we say if our child comes to us and says, I don't have friends, my friends hate me, I'm not fitting in? How should we respond?
I think that, the first thing is not to take it personal, because often we get triggered back to when we were excluded in social settings. So this is your child's situation, focus on that. So listen to what they have to say without judgment, right? Guide them with simple things like social skills, like read the room, read the setting.
Oh, for sure.
Don't try to squeeze yourself into a group of kids that you actually may not fit in with. And here's something I taught my son in grade 1. Find one person, find one other person sitting alone, break time, go over, and start a conversation.
Start your tribe.
And the kids who come for play therapy, I give them a joke or two, which they take from my joke book, and they use it as an icebreaker to make friends. So not everyone is a conversationalist like you and I. Some people need a little bit, they need a little bit more coaching. So the kids who struggle with that, to speak just openly, freely, guide them with simple conversation skills.
All this says to me that we need to guard what we do as parents very much, because we'll have our own baggage. They're going to be triggers. And someone very close to me is going through an adoption process, and they take them back to their childhood as part of their counseling, so they'll know where their buttons are going to be pushed. So what shouldn't we do in this case? How do we prepare ourselves to not overstep those boundaries and keep it a safe engagement?
Yeah, the first thing that you want to do is to protect the child.
Yeah.
So we want to sort of burst into the situation. Which are the children? I'll get their parents' contacts. Oh, I know them. Let me phone them. Let me message them now. So you want to get involved. So what you should actually do, I remember my son always says to me, Mommy, this is not your problem. So I, as a parent, ask, would you like help? Help and guide first. When that fails, ask the child, what's happened? How did it go? Because you can't intervene in every situation. The child doesn't learn to become empowered. So often we want to fix everything. This is something they need to go through this, because in adulthood, the social environment that they fit in won't just accept them.
Yeah, well, certainly that you're going to encounter a new system at work.
Yeah,
you're going to have to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those skills on the playground are the same skills you hone, and you strengthen them by the time you get into a workplace. You actually have them already. So don't get involved, don't intervene, guide, listen, and encourage them.
And maybe there's an opportunity, as we turn the lens kind of inward, to deal with your own nonsense and your baggage going through this process. Maybe you can relate to your child because of your own experiences, and maybe let them feel like they're not the first to go through this, but it is a very difficult thing. We've got more parenting advice coming your way. Stick around.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are live with Expresso as we continue a very interesting discussion this morning, especially for parents with young children that are struggling to fit in, or I suppose every child has those moments. But I think ultimately we all want to be part of the group and we want to be safe, and I think dread feeling left out, not just as kids, even as adults. This is something we experience, and we're continuing our conversation now with our good friend and registered counsellor Shanaz Moores about what to do when your child doesn't fit in. So I'm going to throw a scenario at you. I had moments where I was quite eccentric growing up. I got into certain things, got into my Dungeons and Dragons, got into these things that maybe socially sent you down a particular path. What if your child is genuinely very different and is just going to, other children are going to struggle to relate to them because they're quirky and they have a completely different way about them? How do you help that child that is very much an individual fit in or be okay with not fitting in? How do we approach that?
Yeah, I think that you need to differentiate between just being weird, which I love. I own that title.
I love the fact that that's being celebrated
Yes,
now. That's almost become the new norm. It's not how you fit in, how well you fit in, it's what makes you different.
Individuality is the new thing. And I mean, that's a hard thing, because if your child does have physical, emotional, and social issues, right, then that's being different in a different way. They would need different support. But just the weird title would be like, into Harry Potter when no one else even knows.
Yeah.
Like 25 years ago, so no one actually even knows who Harry Potter is, and here you are, 7 years old, a Harry Potter fan. So that individuality is something that must be nurtured. And yes, it's hard on the playground when other kids do things and no one knows what you know or likes what you like. But it's the self-esteem of the child that's nurtured by the parent to stand out in their individuality. That you actually, it's the authenticity first with you. You're okay with being you. I get told constantly by my kids, Mom, you're so weird. And on a good day, Mom, you're so weird, but we love it.
Yeah.
So I'm owning that, but on other days, my weird is embarrassing and it's cringe according to my teenage son or whatever.
But look, anything to a teenage son is going to be cringe. Yeah?
So it's like, don't teach your kids, don't sacrifice who you are to gain acceptance. That's the biggest lesson with being different.
And that stands true throughout life. That should be one of your pillars, undoubtedly. With this being a part of the child developing their own sense of identity, this says to me that it's a critical phase of their life. Why is our response so important, and what role do we play? Do we play a role? Is it all on them?
Yeah, so at different stages, the child's going to have different levels of fitting in and belonging take place. So our number one is to listen and acknowledge and be open to talking about peer issues in a non-judgmental way.
Sure.
Right? And always feed your child's self-esteem, because the stronger the self-esteem, the more resilient they are to deal with times when they are excluded or not invited to parties or not included in games. So whatever it is, they know it's not them. This is about the other people. They don't particularly, want what I want, and that's okay.
I'm just thinking, obviously, it can become quite dark and intense with an older child. So, yeah, we focus specifically on the young children, but I guarantee you there is an opportunity for you to celebrate your own uniqueness. And I think very often we teach our kids in that way. So they see you appreciating and loving what makes you different, what makes your partner different. Maybe that's what they'll model. Shanaz, I feel better. You are a little bit weird.
Yes.
But I love it.
The right kind of
love
weird,
it.
too.
Yeah, you're my kind of weird. You're my tribe. Yep, whether it's a tribe of only one other person or a group, we all want to fit in, especially our young ones. As parents, an opportunity to check your baggage at the door and make it all about them without judgment.